2018 World Bank meeting ends in Bali, assures continued strategies for the improvement of living standard of member nations, as the military says professionalism remains sacrosanct in its dealings. Plus, Nigeria's Commission for Refugees makes case for the internally displaced persons in Geneva. These and more on Panorama today with me, Ianri John. Welcome. The annual meeting of the World Bank in Bali, Indonesia, has ended with the federal government assuring it will continue to put in place strategies that would improve the living standards of citizens across board. Minister of Finance Zainab Ahmed said the overall participation of Nigeria was fruitful and successful. Finance and economic correspondent Leah Katung Babatunde reports.
Meeting of fiscal and monetary policy makers with 189 countries in attendance. The aim is to improve the global economy and promote collective growth. The Nigerian delegation engaged in several meetings and made presentations on the critical areas of human capital development, education, climate change, financial technology, financial inclusion, markets, jobs creation, and revenue mobilization.
On the new presentation of the Human Development Index by the World Bank, where Nigeria was ranked low at 44% on stunting and some other low records against our country. While these results are disheartening and depressing, we nevertheless are not discouraged. Rather, we see this as a wake-up call. We admit that this pervasive action was due to long years of underinvestment in human capital. We have therefore now realize that we have to aggressively address this.
The delegation explained Nigeria's development strategies and efforts to eradicate extreme poverty coming from the poor ranking recorded by both the World Bank and the IMF.
I informed everybody, as they know, that we are working on increasing our revenues so that we can rely less on debt going forward, which is part of the ERGP. The ERGP says that we will borrow initially to get out of recession, to start growing again, and as our revenues pick up, we'll be borrowing less.
Although Nigeria debt to GDP remains fairly okay, debt service concerns were raised, whereas we also raised issues that we are doing everything possible to broaden the revenue base so as to improve the tax to GDP ratio.
Also noteworthy is the assurance that the election year will not pose any threat to the nation's economic prospects. From Bali, Indonesia, I'm Leah Katung Babatunde, NTA News.
And away from Bali, back to Nigeria, erosion-ravaged communities across the country would soon breathe a sigh of relief as the federal government says it is determined to carry out intervention projects to stop further loss of lives and property. Minister of State for Labour and Employment, Professor Stephen Ocheni, stated this while inaugurating the Adiabo Okitikpang Beach Gully Erosion Control Works in Odukpani local government of Cross River State. Umor Basi Edit has details.
Erosion remains one ecological problem which has continued to displace people by rendering them homeless and sometimes taking lives. With this federal government intervention in Adiabo Okitikpang, the potential dangers posed by erosion and flooding have been checked, with the community witnessing a boost in its socio-economic activities.
The President has exhibited the policy of equity, fairness and justice, because he's determined to ensure that the dividend of democracy of the present administration cut across ethnic boundaries, political differences and religious differences.
Members of the community, including the head of civil service of the Federation, Mrs. Winifred Oyoita, could not hide their feelings as they recalled how they lost lives and property to the gully erosion and overwhelmingly endorsed President Buhari for a second term.
My late father died fighting for this land to be rehabilitated. And to think that God has given me the opportunity to witness this day is a day of joy for me and all my sisters and brothers.
There's no road to the beach. Now you see the beach there. You can enjoy the atmosphere.
In Odupai local government area of Cross River State, Umo Basidate, NTA News.
62 members of the 65 regular Air Force cadets of the Nigerian Defense Academy, comprising a police Air Force and one Togolese Air Force, assembled for the conferment of their presidential commissioning, unveiling of their ranks by their family members, and presentation of parchment into the Nigerian Air Force. The president, represented by the Chief of Air Staff Air Marshal Sadiq Baba Abubakar, acknowledged that the cadets are graduating at a time when the country is facing many contemporary security challenges, hence advised them not to allow themselves to be induced towards undermining the country's security.
Government is taking all necessary measures to safeguard lives and properties and to stem out all forms of criminality across the country.
The president also gave assurance of his administration's determination towards enhanced training of the Air Force for optimum performance in national defense and security.
I want to charge all of you to be prudent and do more with resources provided and to embrace the policy of zero tolerance for corruption.
The pilot officer cadets will be deployed to their various assigned units for further training in Air Force operations. In Kaduna, I am Suleiman Abdullahi Rigachkum, NTA News.
Many thanks, Suleiman. And still talking security, officers and men of the 302 Artillery Regiment General Support Nigerian Army in Onitsha have been enjoined to be responsive professionals and ensure sanity within the areas of responsibility ahead of the 2019 general elections. Corps Commander, Nigerian Army Corps of Artillery Major General Abubakar Atafa gave the charge while on operational visit to the regiment. Ekene Ndulwe has details.
Major General Abubakar Tafa, who took over in April as Commander, Nigerian Corps of Artillery, is currently on a familiarization tour of formations and units under the 82 Division Area of Responsibility. Arriving 302 Artillery Regiment Onitsha, Major General Tafa was taking round the existing facilities for on-the-spot assessment by the Commander, 302 Artillery Regiment, Colonel Yakubu Buala. Addressing the officers, Major General Tafa commended those who recently returned from the Northeast while assuring them that the army hierarchy is poised towards improving their welfare as well as ensuring discipline.
As part of the Chief of Army Staff vision is to ensure that we are ready to carry out our constitutional responsibility, and training is one of the most important aspects.
The commander further enjoined the officers and men of the army to remain apolitical and to abide by the Army Code of Conduct as Nigeria gears towards the 2019 general elections. Major General Tafa will continue his tour in other units and formations under the 82 Division. In Onitsha, Ekene Ndulwe, NTA News.
And away from security now, looking at the 2019 general elections, full autonomy for the Independent National Electoral Commission and recourse to professional media work ethics are being canvassed by stakeholders towards actualizing credible elections in Nigeria. This formed the discuss at the technical session of the 14th Nigeria Guild of Editors Conference in Asaba. Eloho Abara reports that the Director General, NTA, was represented by the Executive Director, News, Mohammed Labo.
Traditional media, prospects and challenges, digital journalism, turning data to money, and ensuring violence-free election in 2019 were the topics various resource persons and other discussants dwelt on.
Politics is a service and not a command position to lord it over other citizens of the country.
At the executive session, the host governor, Dr. Ifan Yokoa, and his counterparts from other states represented spoke on credible elections in 2019. Governor Kowa noted that the media must be at the forefront in the crusade of credible elections. He advocated for a change of INEC's funding for it to be truly independent.
I do not believe on my own that any election has gotten to the level of credibility in this country that we can beat our chest to say yes, we have gotten it right. We are still very far from getting it right, and it is our hope and prayer that we'll continue to work hard to improve on our preparations.
We are more than just a reporting medium. We play the role of integration and cohesion, enhancing, facilitating the unity of the nation.
The conference ends on the 14th of this month, while inspection of projects executed by the state government in the last 3 years takes place Saturday.
Nigerians, as well as the school feeding program, which has increased school enrollments.
President Muhammadu Buhari is voted for. The tendency is for him to complete all these programs to the peak of about 80% by 2023. When a lot of states are self-sufficient in food production, they might not care about the oil.
He further warned that former Vice President Atiku Abubakar promises of restructuring and serving only one term in office should not be taken hook, line and sinker, as there is no way he will not seek a second term in 2023, thereby foreclosing the chance of Indigbo producing a president.
But all I'm telling the Igbos, and indeed Nigerians, is that all that glitters is not gold. The quick fix promises they are making is neither here nor there. It cannot be actualized the way they are depositing it. To say you can restructure the country under 6 months is fallacy.
The Director General insisted that Nigerians should vote President Buhari again, as he remains the best option for now, more so as he is a man of integrity. In Enugu, Beauty Egobame, NTA News.
And from politics, we now take a look at health. The Minister of Health, Professor Isaac Adewale, says the laboratory section of the National Tuberculosis Center, Zaria, which was gutted by fire this year, will be rebuilt soon, in line with the federal government's commitment to the eradication of the disease. The minister said this in Zaria while inspecting facilities at the center. Tina Turu reports.
Facilities at the center and pledge the commitment of the federal government in ensuring that it delivers on its mandate. This has become necessary in line with the concern expressed by President Muhammadu Buhari on eradication of tuberculosis at the just concluded United Nations General Assembly.
Well, one of the promises we've made is to network with our partners to make sure that we put in more resources there, and that is going to happen. We will also take care of this center in our 2019 budget proposals, so that this center can really be first class, not only in Nigeria, but in Africa.
The National Tuberculosis and Leprosy Training Center supports the field training of health workers and community volunteers in tuberculosis management and control, among others.
We have carried out training at various centers, and then during your time, sir, we are proud to say that we have constructed and built an additional leprosy ward, which is a 20-bed capacity.
The laboratory unit of the center was gutted by fire in March this year. Earlier, the minister was at the Emir of Zazzau's palace to solicit his support in sensitizing the people on personal hygiene. In Zaria, Tina Turu, NTA News.
And if you just joined us, you're watching Panorama on the network service of the NTA. More to come after this break. To stay with us.
The struggle for independence had been a long and tough one. Our founding fathers and compatriots sacrificed their comfort and even shed their blood. We cannot at this point in history afford to spirit away their sacrifices for immediate but temporary gains of today. Let us emphasize what unites and not what divides us. Working for the unity of purpose with a stronger vision for a better tomorrow. NTA, growing with the nation.
Together, no matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together. Let's stop fighting each other. Let us live as one. It doesn't matter where you come from, your tribe or religion, man, woman or child. who you are. Put Nigeria first. No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
How can we develop when we're always in crisis? Families have become refugees in their country. No matter our differences, show some understanding.
No matter where you come from, no matter your religion, we are one. Let's live together.
Nigeria, the only country we can train with remarkable potentials to excel. Let us believe in ourselves and change our attitude for the sake of our country and generations unborn. Let us revive our cultural values, which are our essence as a nation. Let us renew the spirit of patriotism and hope in our dear country. Do not take or give bribe. Be punctual always. No more African time. We can't expect to be global citizens and operate on African time. Join the queue. Insist that people are attended to on a first-come basis, no matter who they are or where they come from.
Nigeria.
Chul need. Ilyasu Ali Yakubu reports.
In one of the IDP camps in Ogbafo, where a total of 1,144 IDPs are taking refuge, the NEMA, Director for Search and Rescue, and other officials joined the IDPs for breakfast. This is in order to give them a sense of belonging.
The old for camp, and this is the breakfast that we prepared for.
While addressing the IDPs in various camps, A. Komodo Iyamu reassured them of the agency's commitment to the strict monitoring of the direct distribution of relief items to them. He said farmland destruction assessment teams have been dispatched to various communities affected by the flood. Findings by the teams, he explained, will lead to actionable recommendations to the federal government on a possible compensation.
What the DG is saying is that this thing must get to the people on the ground, not through any middleman or anything. Taking material from the warehouse, distribution, you must include SEMA, Red Cross, and other stakeholders. You will report to headquarters every day.
And as I see the presence of the federal government here, I know that our conditions here will improve.
Some of the IDPs thanked the federal and state government for the proactive intervention.
Very, very well. I'm very, very happy.
As we see people today, we are very happy.
In a humanitarian one-on-one encounter, A. Komodo Iyamu donated the sum of 20,000 naira to one of the IDPs, Chinenye Komus, to assist in the pursuit of her education. NTA News observes that the flood waters are gradually receding. From Asaba, Delta State, Ilyasu Ali Yakubu, NTA News.
And staying with the issues affecting the IDPs, the federal government is in the process of